You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Doesn't look as though we have any new callers, so let's just continue on with Beer Cheese Benny. What's going on, man?
Hey, Beer Cheese Benny here. I hate to flood the calls because I want other people to get their calls played and stuff, but I wanted to say something about Romeo Doubs. It's like, bro, when he's on that field, dude, I feel like our offense is like so much different, man. It's just like when Cooper's on the field, our defense is so much better. Like, when Doubs is there, man, like, I don't know, dude. It's amazing. Like, you have Doubs, and then Watson was awesome. That freaking catch that he made was amazing, and it was a great throw by Jordan. But, like, dude, the coolest part about that is when they showed, like, the sky cam or whatever, and they showed it from kind of, like, up above or whatever. That was amazing, dude. But I think that concussion that Romeo Doubs got, like, knocked some emotion into him, because I don't know what was going on with him tonight, but he was being hilarious, dude. He was like he would catch the ball and, like, he would, like, and then he would, like, wave to the camera, or, like, he would do, like, little dances. I don't know, dude. It just seemed like he had more emotion, dude. Maybe that concussion made him have more emotions and made him better, honestly. But I can't get over that freaking catch he made in the end zone. That was unbelievable, dude. I didn't think he caught it. I'm like, oh, I hit the ground. And then the ref, puts his hands up. I'm like, holy crap! Holy crap, dude! And then him freaking, like, getting into the end zone just at will, just freaking dragging the defender with him. Oh my gosh, dude! I was like, dang, dude! Like, you made him look like a little boy. That was awesome. But I love it. I love what we're doing here. We have got to just keep on rolling. Let's beat the Aints, because that's what they are. They ain't nothing. They're not the Saints, they're the Aints. All right? And they gave a tough battle to Washington. Don't get me wrong. But let's not make that happen. I don't want to see that. I would love it if we just blew them out. I would love it if we could make up for not scoring 40-plus against Seattle and do that to the Saints and maybe score 50. That would be amazing. That's kind of wishful thinking, but if it happens, I will be absolutely elated. But I'm tired of these late games. Can we not have these games anymore, dude? Just give me 425 slot at the latest. Anyways, Ryan, you hate that I say I love you, so I'm not going to say I love you, but Jesus loves you. So, yeah, go back home.
Thanks, dude. Well, look, I mean, I don't want to get, I hate, captured by the moment, whatever, slave to the moment, whatever the thing is. I don't want to get too hung up on what happened most recently. There we go. Look, Romeo had a big day. I don't want to turn that into now, dude, Romeo's the guy. We're so much better with Romeo, because we do that all the time. Remember, it was Jaden Reed, and then Jaden Reed disappeared, and then it was Romeo. Like, he threw a fit, then he came back and he was great, and then he disappeared again, and then he came back and he was great. We have a team, and it was Tucker Kraft, right? Tucker is the dude. He's the best. He's elite. He's dead, and then he disappeared again. This is what happens all the time. Romeo had 0 touchdowns through his first 4 games, then had a 2-touchdown game. Then he had 0 touchdowns through the next 5 games, and then he had another 2-touchdown game. He has 4 touchdowns on the season. He got 2 of them in 2 different games, 2 touchdowns in 2 different games. He has 0 games with 100 yards so far this season. His biggest was against Houston, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 94 yards. Prior to this game, he had drops in all 4 of his last 4 games, 1 drop apiece. So the drops have been a massive problem for him for, again, the last 4 weeks. So, we don't need to make it anything bigger than he had a good day. But like everybody else, we need to start seeing consistency. And I'm absolutely not going to start jumping up and down about Romeo because he had 1 good day after having 4 pretty garbage games. Maybe it was the concussion. Maybe that did something to him. I'm guessing you're half joking, so I will half jokingly agree with you. But look, I'm glad we have Romeo. We got a bunch of guys, and basically every single game somebody's going to show out. Wicks is starting to become that dude again a little bit. Watson has been a pretty consistent presence. I don't know that elite has ever come across the board, but he's been probably our most consistent guy all year. Remember, Jaden Reed was that dude early in the season, and then that wasn't a thing anymore. And then we got games where it's like, how could you not get Jaden Reed the ball? And it's, he's our playmaker. It's like, well, sometimes he is and sometimes he's not. Week 1 against Philly, he had 138 yards and a touchdown. Week 2 against Indy, he had 9 yards. 2 weeks later, he had 139 yards. Against Houston, 10 yards. Against Detroit, 113 yards. And then it was 20, 20, 20, 0, and 30. So the last 4 weeks, he hasn't done much. He did have a 2-touchdown game against Miami, so the touchdowns were there. But as far as his contributions, 2 touchdowns, 23 yards, 2 receptions, 23 yards, 3, 26, 3, 24, 0, and then 534. Doesn't mean he's bad, right? He has his 100-yard games. He has 6 touchdowns through 5 different games. I'm not counting out Jaden Reed, but I'm also not hyping up Jaden Reed. I think he's a really talented guy. I'm super excited he's on the team. I think Romeo Doubs is a super talented guy. I'm glad he's on the team. I think Christian Watson's a super talented guy. I'm glad he's on the team. I think Wicks is a talented guy. I'm glad he's on the team. I think Tucker's a talented guy. I'm glad he's on the team. I don't think anybody is really like that dude. I don't know that anybody is unbelievably important. In my opinion, that would be Christian. If for no other reason than, as I've said, even if he doesn't catch the ball, he's a massive threat to a defense, and he's a guy that you have to account for, and I think he really opens things up underneath. But also, he's been very good as far as his hands and all that kind of stuff. So, but no, it's not about any of that. I think week to week, I trust Matt LaFleur to decide how we're going to divvy this up. I trust Jordan Love to, if that game plan isn't working, then we redistribute the ball. If next week Romeo Doubs doesn't get a single look, as long as we win the game convincingly, I couldn't give a crap how we do it. If we run the ball, if we pass the ball, if we do this, if we do that, it's whatever, right? So, yeah, I mean, overall, I agree with you. I mean, Romeo was fantastic, and I'm super excited about it, but I don't want to get too stuck in what happened this one time and forget about what happened the 4 games prior to that. And then, if he doesn't get the ball, we freak out because it's like, how could you? He's our biggest playmaker. How could you not? I mean, it's been this way for the Packers for a long time. I mean, we had Devontae, clearly. He's that dude, and he always was. But we've been a team for a long time that's just been, the ball can go pretty much anywhere. I think that Devontae stretch was a pretty unique stretch where we only had one receiver. But outside of that, we're back to kind of the Packers as they have been for a long time with just a bunch of dudes that could pop off at any time. I've talked about it before in the old days when we had, Jordy and Jennings and James Jones and Randall and all those guys. You wouldn't touch any of them in fantasy. And it's not because they're bad. It's just because one day they'd pop off for 124 yards, 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns. The next week they'd have 1 reception for 6 yards. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the player. It's just different game plan, different design. If their defense wanted to take him away, then we're going to let them take him away because we got other guys. Go ahead, take him away. I don't give a crap. You want to play over the top and take away Christian Watson so that we don't get anything deep? Fine, it's a Tucker Kraft day. That doesn't mean Christian Watson's a pile of crap. Where was Watson? Oh, I thought he was good. Piss and moan and whine and cry. Where's your boy? Where's your boy Christian? Where? It just means that they played a certain way, and when they zigged, we zagged. And we went for Jaden Reed, and we went for Tucker Kraft, and we went for Wicks underneath, guys that can catch them short and then get yards after the play. We impose and then we go execute, right? And then when they get tired of us, get tired of those shots to the rib and shots to the liver, and they start coming up trying to take away the run, then we start going over the top. The bottom line is whatever you want to do, bro. You go ahead. I'll let you dictate the game. I don't give a crap what you want to do. We're bringing everybody. Well, that's going to suck when we throw a quick pass out to Jaden Reed, because now you just dedicated 7-8 guys to the middle of the field attacking my quarterback. You better be real good at tackling on the outside. We have a really cool team that has the ability to kind of morph. It's that, I think I've said it before, but it's the whole be water, my friend. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friends. That's the Packers offense. Bro, whatever you want to do, we'll morph into anything and we're going to smack you. They got to refine it a little bit, right? When we decide we're going to run, you got to be able to execute. When we decide we got to throw, you got to throw accurate passes. You got to catch the ball. You got to do you got to be able to do it. And Matt's got to call the right things at the right time, right? If they zig and we zig, it ain't going to work. If they zag and we zag, it ain't going to work. So Matt LaFleur's got to be the zig when they zag guy. And then the players got to execute. And as long as they can, we're good. And nobody's going to be able to stop this because there's just too many guys that can do too many things. But it comes down to execution. The coach and the players execute, we're good to go. Be water, my friends.
Hey, Robert, I want to talk about Matt LaFleur and his challenges. He's freaking 0 for 6 this year, dude.
That's brutal.
He's terrible, man. Somebody take the red flag away from him, man. It's just idiotic, man.
I don't remember the other ones, but that last one, I've never seen a worse challenge in my life. It was painfully obvious. You probably should have been able to see it on the big board. I'm positive he has people in his ear. So I don't know who is in his ear, but good Lord. I mean, listen, even if Matt LaFleur's being stupid about it and is like, this is a good place to take a shot. If we can steal one here, we can put this game away, whatever. Everybody in his ear needs to be like, no, absolutely. Like, this is a 110% kind of a deal. They're not going to make a mistake on this one and accidentally give us the right call. It's not going to happen. I don't know what the process is, but it's garbage. And again, when I saw that, because the refs kind of stopped for a minute and they kind of sat there, I could swear this is something that came down from up above. And maybe they can't tell the coaches that. I don't know. You would think if they want to challenge, he'd have gone over and been like, no, New York already called it. But I felt like it was like they had already waited for confirmation from New York and then did it. And then Matt LaFleur throws a red flag. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing? This is not close. And I could swear that they already got confirmation on this. But yeah, that's awful. And it needs to get fixed for sure.
Losing timeouts, and I don't understand it. Like, everybody knew that was an incomplete pass. I don't know. Like, is there somebody in his ear like telling him to
100%.
do it, or like is he just doing it, man?
Because he's talking to people. He's got the headset on, and there's people in the booth, and he's talking to people. I don't know. I have no idea. If he's just blatantly overruling everybody, they're like, no, this is terrible. Please, Matt, don't do it. He's like, I'm going to do it. But I would kind of doubt that's how that's happening. And there's always a possibility that he's just not even asking for advice. But again, that took such a long time. It wasn't like an instant throw the red flag. It took a while. The refs took a while. He was contemplating it a while, and then he threw the flag. The reason there's contemplation is because there's discussion. And so I don't know. The entire group are freaking blind and stupid because I don't know what else to say about that. It was the most obvious call ever. If there's not somebody in his ear, we need to have somebody upstairs that's like watching more closely. There is.
Like tell him like, Matt, keep it in your pocket, or somebody else needs to have it. Like, I don't know, dude. Just like freaking just have somebody else like have the red flag. I don't know, dude. I'm tired of that, honestly. So it's not that too big of a deal. I just like eventually that's
well, and that's the thing. I don't remember the other ones. I genuinely think that a lot of this is who cares kind of territory. Like it's not going to hurt us that much kind of a deal. So it definitely looks bad, but I don't know that you do this in a very, very close contested playoff. And that's the big concern is he's making terrible decisions and all this stuff. I think a lot of these, I don't know, but I think a lot of these just come down to he's trying to steal one in these types of situations where, we're up by $1 billion. It doesn't super matter. Let's just see if we can steal one real quick. If we can get away with this, we can put this game away. If not, whatever. It's just a timeout. We're doing more than fine in this game. That strategy hasn't worked, right? As far as like the refs getting it wrong. And I'll be honest, I do think as much as I talk crap about the refs, I think that they're doing a lot better as far as replay goes. And I think the whole New York thing has a lot to do with that. Very rarely am I seeing things get challenged or reviewed and it's just not being called correctly. So I think the whole philosophy of trying to risk it when it's like, a 75%er that you're not going to win, why not roll the dice? But even still, this was a 0%er. There's no way.
Hurt you, man. Like, if it comes to it down to like a playoff game and we are wasting a challenge, like, you better be freaking 100% sure, man. And you know what's weird is like, I feel like, I might be wrong about this, but last year I feel like LaFleur wasn't really that bad with the challenges, man. Like, and for the most part, like, if he would lose a challenge, it would just be because New York fumbled it, or the referees were just like got it wrong, even after a slow motion replay, which I never understood. Like, how can you get it wrong after you watch it on slow mo like a million times? But if you guys like ever like kind of like are questioning like the things that LaFleur does or whatever, like you guys really need to start listening to the post-game press conference, and you'll kind of understand more of the thought process behind everything. And then like LaFleur will tell you straight up, like, yeah, it was a bad decision or whatever, and it'll kind of make you feel a little bit better about the things that went on, and you're just like, okay, I understand why he did it. And so yeah, I can't wait to see these locker room interviews. I would love to hear Wayne Larrivee with the Doubs touchdown. I want to hear, and there's your dagger. I freaking love that, dude. Like when Doubs caught that ball, I was like, dagger! It was freaking awesome, man. Anyways, I gotta go to work. My freaking head hurts. I didn't even drink for this game, dude. My freaking head hurts. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would put it in the same category as everything else. I think if there's a takeaway for me as well, because I don't usually have a lot of patience, it's to just have patience with this team. Say whatever you want, complain about whatever you want, but I talked about how this team always under Matt LaFleur gets hot at the right time. And I was thinking about that today. Like, I always thought if I was, an actual media member or whatever, I'd be terrible because I don't ever know what to ask. But that would be a question that I would want to ask. Like, what are you doing to be able to always continually get better throughout the season and to end the season as the best version of yourself by the time you get to the playoffs? But the more I thought about it, it's very obvious. Matt LaFleur, and you could say his staff and everybody else, but at the end of the day, a lot of his staff is gone and nothing has really changed, so I'm going to put it on Matt LaFleur, has an incredible ability to identify problems and fix them. That's what it is. He has an incredible ability to identify problems and fix them, and that has been the case. A lot of the issues we had early in the season are improving. The run game is improving. Jordan Love is massively improving. The drop issue is improving. I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but they have a great ability to identify problems and fix them. And that, honestly, the thing that gave me the most encouragement about the fact that the run game stalling in the second half will be fixed is the fact that Matt LaFleur identified it. He said, over the last 2 weeks, we've had a problem with the stalling in the second half, and we need to work on that. What that means to me is that Matt LaFleur, because you only have so much time and so much energy to work on any given thing, he is going to dedicate some of his energy this week to that issue. They're going to identify, and that's really all this. That's all we're doing in the regular season. And maybe that's what separates Matt from some of these other coaches who are kind of laser focused on just beat the next opponent. Every time you play a game, what you're hoping to do is identify weaknesses. And then as you identify those weaknesses, you find out how to fix it. And by the end of the year, you have built something quite impressive. There's always going to be flaws, and they will continue. But ideally, we have built, through a firm understanding of what our team is and is not, the best way to make this machine go. It's about efficiency. It's about understanding my team, understanding how things work, understanding all of that, my coaching staff, what we're good at, what we're not, putting the best people in the best places, finding out what that even means, and getting the best out of people. I mean, credit to Hafley as well, because I don't think that this ever really happened as well on the defensive side as it did on the offensive side. I think the offense got a lot better. The defense sometimes, like I think it was 2 years ago, after the bye week, something just clicked. Maybe it was last year. I don't know. I think it was 2 years ago. But, look at what Hafley and his staff have done. There was a serious pass rush issue. It has continued to improve. Kenny Clark was up. He had a lot of guys, especially on the defensive line, struggling with the change in scheme. And little by little, we saw Rashawn get better. We're seeing Kenny get better. We saw Quay get better. We're even seeing Valentine and Stokes. I mean, again, I think that might have been a one-game fluke, but why count it out? Because at the end of the day, the corners have given up almost nothing for 3 weeks now. The last 2 weeks, I said it was because, well, they're just attacking in the middle of the field and there's nothing we can do about it, so why bother attacking? But then you got another week coming along, and I thought they did a good job. There were 2 big plays. I think it was, on both of them, it might have been Evan Williams kind of not understanding his assignment or whatever, but you're seeing guys start to get better. You're seeing Wyatt get better. Lucas Van Ness is getting shockingly better, from like horrifically bad to arguably one of the best guys, if not the best guy on the defensive line right now. We saw Inigbare have a big day. And then you look at Mosby and Cox, who have been phenomenal for us. Let's also recognize that Edgerrin Cooper, to some degree, is a product of his coaching and being put in the right place and asked to do the right things. Understanding how to properly utilize a guy like McKinney. It's not just an automatic. I mean, some guys are really talented and just, you can put them in a bad defense with a bad coach and they'll make you look good. That is a thing. But the bottom line is we're seeing continual improvement. And yes, it's easy to just ignore the improvement and go, yeah, but what about that? Okay, fine, but what about that? And that's fine, because that's what the coaching staff is doing also. But look, yes, there's an issue. Matt LaFleur shouldn't have thrown a challenge flag. I agree. And ideally, they're going to go back and look at that. And ideally, that would not have happened in a more crucial situation. This was kind of just a situation anyways. And it's one of those cost benefit. The cost of losing is very low. The benefit of winning is unbelievably high. And I think he's continually going after those, but they're just not going in his direction. He's hoping that they're going to make a wrong call because it's a really big thing. And it's just, I think they need to rethink that strategy, because I really do think referees are doing a lot better in not making the wrong call. But whatever it is, I mean, it gets to be 0-6. It gets to be a big deal. It's going to be brought to his attention. Yeah, you got to change your process. I mean, look at Gutekunst in the 3rd round. They talked about, we got to change our process. What happened? You end up getting Tucker Kraft after that. I think Sean Ryan was before that, wasn't he? I don't know. I can't remember. But, I mean, that's it. I mean, you have a core philosophy, and that's good, and you don't want to get away from that, but you have to be able to identify problems and fix them. That is a major component. If you're going to be a successful GM, if you're going to be a successful head coach, it's massive. And for whatever flaws Matt LaFleur has, and he has some, there is no question he is an unbelievable mind when it comes to offense. The guy is brilliant. His ability to understand how to utilize offense against defense is about as good as you'll find in the NFL. It's not to say there aren't others. There's others. I'm not even putting him at the top necessarily, but he is in that conversation. The Vikings got a good one. The 49ers got a good one. McVay is up there. I mean, the offense might be kind of stagnating out there in LA, but he's still a brilliant guy. But it'd be interesting, and I'm tempted to see if I can figure this out, to find out if there is a team that has been better at improving throughout a season. So I guess I would just say have faith. You know, this has been me for the last probably 3 years now. Middle of the season, I give up on the team. I don't believe in it. I look at all the issues and I say we're halfway through the season. We're still a bad team. I just don't believe it. I know it's happened in the past. I don't think that means it's going to happen again. And it happens again. And they just keep getting better and better and better. And every time I find something to complain about, they fix it and they get better and better and better. And then I realize, you know, I'm talking to you, but I'm also, again, I am a culprit here as well. I realize that I spent an entire year complaining when this has been one of the best Green Bay Packers seasons historically. This is one of the best Green Bay Packers teams we've witnessed. And a large portion of this fan base has spent the entire season crying about it. I thought I was alone in this. I talked to Clayton. He's like, no, dude, it's real. There's a lot of whining and complaining. I saw on a radio show, I don't remember which one it was, but I just saw a clip and they were talking about, you would have thought this team was 3-11 right now. That isn't to say we can't acknowledge the negative, but if we're spending 90% of our time complaining about small matters in a blowout win, we're doing it wrong. And I'm not being a homer saying that. I mean, it's very easy to identify homerism and haterism. Homerism is when you're terrible and you're still going on talking about how great you are and blah, 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 blah. When a coach is doing a bad job and you're saying he's doing a great job, when the GM is doing, when the team is bad and you're saying that they're good, whatever, that's homerism. When the team is very good and the coach and GM and everybody are doing a great job, as evidenced by the fact that the team is doing very good, when the quarterback is doing very good, when you're blowing teams out and then you end up complaining, that's haterism. Okay? It's very easy to identify. There is reality, and if you are above that, you're a homer, and if you're below that, you're a hater. This is one of the best Green Bay Packers teams that we watched in our lifetime, and if you spent most of your time complaining, I'm sorry, you are not a realist. You're not. That's not being a realist. Being a realist is acknowledging reality. Complaining about a team that has the record that they have, the talent that they have, every single advanced stat that I've already told you that I promise you the haters are not even looking into because they don't care, because they base all their realism on emotion, which should be your first giveaway that you're not a realist. A realist is somebody that digs deep into the data. That's how you find out what's real, right? You don't just lay in bed at night and dig deep into your soul and your emotions and say, what is real? No, you got to go find out what's real. You come to understand reality through education. So if you educate yourself and you're telling me that you're coming away with a full picture, and the full picture is this team is not good, I'm beyond scolding you at this point, bitter cheese. I'm not even talking to you anymore. I'm off on my own thing. We were at like 19 minutes or 18 minutes, and I was like, all right, last call, and then we got to take a break. We're about to second break territory here, but you get what I'm saying, right? Your level of excitement to critique ratio should be about the ratio of our record. Let's put it that way. Just as a general guideline. So for every 14 things you say about this team, 4 of them should be negative, roughly speaking. If you're at 14 being negative, that's not being a realist. I'm so unbelievably sorry to tell you that. But yes, there are issues. I was certainly not happy with those issues in the moment, during the game, absolutely. I am a very emotional person when I watch football games. It is a curse, and I'm certainly ashamed of it. I am, but that's how it goes. Get excited about football games. But again, there has to be a period of time where you step back, you let the emotion kind of work its way out of your body, calm down, I think is what it's called, and then really immerse yourself in every bit of data that you can find to actually build an accurate picture of what's going on so that you can speak intelligently and accurately about the subject that you're discussing. If you're not going to do that and are going to go out and speak authoritatively about something that you are ignorant about because you think that you're informed because you watched a game, which means absolutely nothing, because you didn't even witness 90% of what happened on that football field because it wasn't even on the screen and you can only pay attention to one thing at a time. And then you got the factor of forgetting a lot of things and misremembering things and allowing your emotion to dictate what you remember and what you don't, so that you're going to have a more negative or positive, if you're a positive fan, outlook on things. Watching the game is the most useless data point in the world. It's completely useless. And so watching the game and predetermining how you think you're going to feel about it and then finding stats to cherry pick to, be able to continue feeling the way that you feel, that's not how you build an informed opinion. Okay? All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Daniel from California.
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California.
What's up?
Yeah, last week after the Lions game, everybody was freaking out, panicking about the defense, and I called, and I was like, I don't know if people are saying. I was quite impressed by the defense. They were able to stop the run, and they had to, the Lions had to earn everything, and it took fourth downs to get everything done. Well, this game, they were able to stop the run. They held them to 80 yards rushing. Some of that's Gino on scrambles before Gino got hurt, and they're able to keep the passing under 200. You're talking about the overall defensive yardage was under, I think, 260. If my math checks out. But think about it, that's good. They have three really good receivers, right? I'm gonna say really good because even though Lockett's old now, I still like Lockett. But Metcalf and JSN are really good. And
to put that in context, because I had mentioned they had taken a step back or whatever, they are as good as any receiver we have on our team. I mean, if you go look at the PFF grades or whatever, they certainly took a step back, but they're graded as high or higher than the guys that we have. So as much as we like the guys that we have, that's them, but having taken a step back.
And they got a running game. It's just the only really weakness on that team is their offensive line, the interior offensive line. And we dominated the tackles too, on at least the right tackle. So we did a good performance. I am really proud of these guys. And sucks Quay got hurt. But I remember between I think it was weeks 4 to 7 or something when Quay was hurt, and that's when our defense was the best. And I know Quay's been playing better the last few weeks, but there's something about this combination of defenses where I don't know, the formation of it and just the way the guys, the composition of the linebackers or something. I don't know what it is, but the defense just looks better when you got Evan Williams, Eric Wilson, and Edrin Cooper on the field. I'm really digging that setup. I was looking at fifth-year options, and I don't know about Quay. Quay, I don't know if they pick it up. It's $11 million for Quay. For Devontae Wyatt, it's $13. So that's going to be a conversation coming up. You also got a bunch of contracts coming up. Look at the 2022 NFL draft. How many guys did Goot draft that are starters? All right, let's go. Start with the first one. Quay's a starter. Devontae's a starter. You got Christian's a starter. Then you got Sean Ryan's a starter. Romeo Doubs is a starter. Zach Tom's a starter. Kingsley Enikbare's a starter. Rasheed Walker's a starter. That's a stacked draft class, and they're not just starters. A lot of these guys are really good. So I'm pumped. Super Bowl run.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people would look at that guy's not even that good. Okay, but you can't start from the standpoint of everybody you draft should be really good or you suck. When you look at a draft class, if you come away with 3 starters, it's a pretty good draft class. They're the Bears had 4 total picks, so they're not going to get 3 starters or 5 or whatever it ended up being after the trade. You're not getting that, and they didn't get that, and a lot of teams don't get that. So you can certainly complain about somebody being mediocre if you want to. That was a mid to late round pick, but again, we're just getting into you will never be happy territory. It was a solid draft class. It really was. I've mentioned that the only complaint that I have right now is that he's very good at finding starters. It would be nice if, even if it's not every year, every other year or something, finding that elite player. And it seemed like we had it, but both of our elite guys are suddenly not playing like it anymore, and that's Jair and Rashawn. They had moments, like Jair had a year. Rashawn seemed like he kind of always was, but first 3 years he was just on a pitch count, or he was behind Za'Darius and Preston, so he wasn't playing as much. And so I had to kind of just inform, oh, by the way, that guy that doesn't play is elite, just so you know. And nobody would believe it because his sack numbers weren't high, and that's the only metric anybody cares about, even though he wasn't playing. So I don't know how he's going to get to 10 sacks in a season when the guy's not playing, but I guess that means he's bad. I don't freaking know how people think. And then he finally got to play. He was 2 years of being a premier guy or something, ended up getting hurt, and now he's slowly working. Maybe he'll get back to that. I don't know. And Jair, maybe he'll get back to that, but that would be the one thing that would be really great. Look at all of our wide receivers. They're all good. Nobody's great. Nobody's elite. Nobody's Devontae, right? It's fine. It's working. But it would be nice to kind of get you over the hump. I'm hoping for Edgerrin. I got my fingers crossed that dude is going to be elite. And I'm okay with that. I mean, of course you want an elite pass rusher or an elite corner or something like that, but I will never complain about any elite position. It could be a freaking tight end, running back, whatever. I will take it because they're all major difference makers on a team. So that's my only real critique to this point. And I feel like he's swinging for the fences. Like he's trying to get those elite players. That's the point of trying to get the guys that are really high ceiling, because you're hoping that, if and when they hit, it's going to be big. I mean, that's Lucas Van Ness is that way, and Stokes is that way, and a lot of these guys are that way. But no, I overall, although I'm not going to pretend that he's the best GM, I'm more than content with everything he's done. I love that we have 1 billion picks, because the draft largely does come down to luck. And I think guys that can swallow their pride and recognize that statistical fact are guys that are going to end up getting trading away assets to get more and more picks, because you understand the more swings, because it comes down to luck a lot of times. It really just comes down to how many swings you take. And I think he's done that. A great, 11 picks, like 3 years in a row, is psychotic. And then being able to get as many hits as he has also been impressive. Again, it'd be great if we get like a blue chipper, but overall I am content. Goose, what's going on?
Hey, Goose here. Just calling Monday morning after the game. It was too late afterwards to call in and try and that was a good game. It could have been perfect, but I ain't going to be negative about it. We showed up and beat.
Goosey, hang in there, man. Come back to us, Goose. No, Goose. Oh, no. That call from Canada isn't working. Let's skip a little bit here.
My fault. I need to call in sooner and be like, hey, yo, that was
Goose, it ain't working, man.
Passing game more. But, goodness, really, complaining about that game is to choose misery, because I haven't had that much fun watching a Packers game in weeks. It was just, I don't know what it was. That was just awesome.
Well, and it's like we all kind of complain about close games because we're somewhat of a spoiled fan base, and we want we want the team to demonstrate to us that they are significantly better than everybody on the planet. If you can't do that, then you suck, right? It's a curse. We're all kind of babies about that. This was the game we've all been begging for. I want you to win. I want you to win convincingly through all 4 quarters and win by a wide margin. That's exactly what happened. And a lot of people still aren't happy. Well, they're not good. They're a playoff team. And they're not anymore because we beat them. Had they have played a team not as high quality as the Packers, then they would have won, and they would have more firmly established themselves as a playoff team. They'd be at like 70, 80%. But instead, they played the Packers, which is their misfortune because we are significantly better than this playoff team, and we dominated them for 4 quarters. Yeah, but why did they stagnate? Why wasn't it perfect every play? I don't know because the other team is there. Because they have another team filled of brilliant people and NFL caliber players that found a way to actually stop the Packers for a little brief period of time. I don't know, man. That's rough, dude. It's freaking rough out there.
Fun game. And I have to say, Josh Jacobs, the fact that we got him for a song is just
stupid.
Absolutely silly.
It's stupid.
But more importantly, people give Christian Watson some love. That guy he had a big drop, but other than that, every difficult pass, he's catching it. He is I think he's our best receiver. And Doubs, he's showing up too. Now, he missed a couple passes last night that I thought he should have catched, but...
3 minutes got him. Anything? I appreciate the call, Goose. I wish it wasn't so broke up. I know you're out in the middle of the wilderness in the Canadian Wild Goose Reserve out there, but I don't know. Maybe Elon can save you, get you some satellite phone or something. I don't know, so you can call in. Got to talk to Daddy Elon about that.
Hey, just calling back. I was looking at this chart. I thought it said 11 for Quay, but it's the guy who was picked directly after Quay is 11 million, Kyer Elam. Quay would be 16 million, and I know that the salary cap has gone up. I just don't know if they would do that.
That's a lot.
Something else actually I wanted to talk about. Christian and Romeo are going to be due for contracts too. I wonder, because Christian, I just like Christian. You could tell he's a good teammate. Everybody loves Christian. I wonder if he would take kind of like a Jordan Love deal, because we just haven't been able to see him, right? I wonder if he would take kind of like the 2-year, 5th-year option Jordan Love deal, where it's like, hey, we just you're coming into your own. Yeah. We want to give you a good payday because you haven't got your big NFL payday.
And that is kind of fair too, if you think about it, because the reason for that is because he had been benched. We didn't really get a good look at him, and so we feel good about you and whatever, and we'll give you a chance to kind of bet on yourself, and it gives us some flexibility. It gives some money in your pocket, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't really know, and I don't know if you can give him that exact thing because we have seen some of Christian, so he's going to expect to be paid for what he's done. But it does make sense to say, look, we believe you have this top end potential, but you kept getting injured for 3 years, and then 1 year you were healthy, and that's great. But we didn't see elite Christian during that time. We saw consistent Christian. We saw great. We know we want to keep you for sure. But it kind of comes down to two different things. This is, and maybe I'm wrong, and the Packers are like, no, this guy's elite, and we're going to pay him like an elite receiver. That's possible. But I could understand a situation. This is probably how I would approach it, to look at it and say, look, why don't we give you sort of a short-term deal? Because the bottom line is, if we paid you based on what you've shown us and what we think you're worth, it's not going to be that big mega contract that I'm sure that you want. So why don't we do this? Because you haven't had a lot of time to showcase your talent. You're clearly getting better, and you're now healthy. What if we gave you kind of a short term? I don't know if it'd be a 1 year, exactly how it would work, how you would structure it, but something that would give him the opportunity to show what he can do so that he gets a bigger contract. Like, it's just kind of it's an extension. I mean, it's literally what it is. We're extending sort of your rookie period to see if you can get that mega contract. We're obviously going to pay you more than your rookie contract. You're going to be getting a big time paycheck here. But we want to give you the opportunity to demonstrate that you can be that guy to get the ridiculous $30-some-odd million contract or something, But you got to demonstrate that. Otherwise, you get, I don't even know. Like I said, the salary cap keeps going up. I don't even know where the numbers are at for kind of I don't know if it'd be second tier. It was 20-some-odd million or something. And I know that seems, people are probably already shaking in their boots like, you got to be kidding me. But I don't know what the number is now. It would have been, for how my mind is geared toward probably several years ago, like the $15 million wide receiver type of contract. But again, today, maybe that's 2025. I have no idea. But it does make sense. And then by doing that, it gives you an opportunity to also pay Romeo. I think the consensus right now is Christian's going to get the big contract. Romeo's going to get the boot. And that is possible that may happen. But it's also possible that if we're talking about smaller short-term contracts, that we can kind of just kick the can down the road and keep this thing going and see what happens. Definitely an interesting thought.
Okay. So we want to give you, 10 million, 15 million, let's do a 20-year, 20 million 2-year contract, right? And, give you most of it up front. And if you can stay healthy, we'll resign you. If not, we can cut bait the second year. But I wonder if Christian would be, into that. I know Romeo, some of the speculation from from when he took that game off was, he wanted more opportunities because it's getting close to getting paid time. So I don't know if that's actually a thing or not. And I don't know if he's going to try to demand like 25 or 30 million a year, but they need to have having those conversations with him. And if I don't know, like 20 million, like it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if we would franchise and trade him or something, or these are like some serious conversations, because that draft class, there's a lot of guys, and they're all coming due, and they're all starters. You can't just have them all be, you can't push them all down the line. It's actually going to be a pretty chaotic time, and I hope that we could get some deals on these guys, like Rashid. Like, Rashid's really good.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, how that contract works out, because he's a 7th-round pick and he's a 2-year starter. So
Right.
we just got to see, but I'm really pumped for these guys getting their first big payday. They all worked hard. They all deserve it, especially somebody like Rashid, somebody like Christian, these guys that you don't hear anything from. They just nothing but positive. Like, I'm a big Rashid Walker fan.
Yeah.
Just because you don't hear anything from him. He doesn't give up sacks. He's got 2 sacks on the year. It's awesome, right? So I really want to see these guys get paid and see who, hopefully we get some deals on these guys.
Yeah, everybody wants to judge GMs by their first-round picks, and I think that's somewhat absurd. I think the first round is when pretty much anybody in the world, that's where you can get any old bum off the couch to come out and make a draft pick, and it's going to be about as high of a hit rate as you're going to get with an actual GM, right? Everybody knows the names. Everybody's been talking about them for months. If you really want to judge a GM, what do they do in the mid rounds? What do they do, especially in the late rounds? Can you find talent in the late rounds? Can you find talent in the undrafted free agent class? That might be a little bit less impressive, because some of that comes down to the player choosing where they want to go, and maybe you don't have a desirable location or whatever. But the mid to late rounds, how can you do in those areas? And I think Rashid Walker is one of the best picks probably made in the last 5 years or something. To get a starting left tackle in the 7th round is absolutely unheard of. I mean, Brock Purdy's up there, 7th round starting quarterback. That might be the best pick. I'm sure there's a few others, but I think it's going to come down to core guys. There's going to be some core guys and some non-core guys, and I think Rashid is a core guy. He's getting paid. They're not letting him go. No chance. I think Christian's probably a core guy. Romeo, I think that little flare-up probably put him a little bit on the outs. I think he's going to be seen as somewhat of a non-essential because, the locker room makes a big difference, and I think Gutekunst is going to see him as a potential liability, and that's going to make him somewhat of a non-core, non-essential guy where they will offer him probably a very low-end contract and, be something that he probably isn't going to be interested in. And he'll either accept it or he'll just say no thanks and go somewhere else, which might end up being the reality. That's just my guess as it stands today. They also have to factor in, immediately after that, you got to start making decisions about Reed and Kraft, which I don't know that there's much of a decision. Reed is also, I think, going to be a core guy pending any kind of issues. I don't see them letting him walk. Tucker Kraft's not going anywhere. And it sounds like, I haven't dug into it yet, but I heard, a week or two ago, people started talking about the salary cap and how we're in a really good spot. I think Ken Ingles is one of them. He's sort of the Packers salary cap guy, not officially, but like on social media and stuff. And he tends to have a negative outlook, at least over the last several years, I think, because we've had kind of a negative situation. But so to see him say we're in a good spot is like, oh, we must be in a very good spot, because I've never heard him say anything like he's excited about the future. So we'll see if maybe some guys get some early contracts. If we have money now, let's use it. Let's get some of these guys under contract, and because you got to stagger it a little bit. You pay somebody this upcoming year, you pay somebody next year. You try to stagger it so that it's not all big lump in a specific year. But they know all that stuff. That's a Russ Ball thing. He'll make sure that we're using the right amount of money for the right guys, structured the right way over the years. He's got all that figured out. We don't need to worry about it. It's interesting for us to talk about and try to figure out what they're going to do, but they got a plan, and they're not worried about it, so I'm not worried about it. No point taking a second break at this time, so let's just keep it rolling here. TJ, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan. TJ from Alabama.
What's up?
Listened to the pod, watching the game. Overall, I got not too much to complain about. I think we beat a good, solid team on the road that was fighting for the playoffs. Seattle had every motivation to play. They are a good team, and we went in there and we beat them soundly. Was there some stuff in the middle? There absolutely was. But hell, every game that happens. And I would love it not to happen. I'd love Packers to steamroll everybody. But it happens. Even in the Dallas game last year in the playoffs, where we beat them like a drum. Yeah. There was that point towards the end where, well, if they get 2 touchdowns and two two-pointers, this game's tied.
Yeah.
But, it really wasn't close. Took care of business. No complaints. And I like that everybody had solid games, but nobody was spectacular.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
Edge, maybe was on the edge of spectacular.
Yeah.
But, there's some games that everybody plays well and somebody just goes off. Rashawn has 5 sacks or whatever the case may be. And it really is, if we didn't have that guy,
right,
it would have been a hell of a lot closer. This game, I didn't see it. And actually, most of this season, I don't see it. It's just good players making good plays, nothing super crazy, nothing super spectacular, just a good team win. Offense plays well, defense plays well, neither perfect, but it's just good. And then the special teams, other than the Jaden Reed muff, is very solid. And it's McManus comes in, he kicks field goals. So overall, I think it's pretty good. I think we're setting ourselves up for a really good, solid playoff run. May not happen, but I think we're setting up for it. You said something last week I completely agree with. We are absolutely at the point now that, I want Jair back, obviously. But until he's 100%, just let him sit.
Right.
Hopefully get some rust off before the end of the year. Bring Musgrave in. Let him get some run before the end of the year. But anybody that's close, just sit him. Just let him sit.
Right.
And, the only complaint I have is fire the flag guy. Whoever is the flag guy in the booth, which there must be, fire that guy or fire that girl and move on from there, and I think we're good. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Bye.
Yeah, like I said, it's there's stuff that needs to be fixed. We know that. Coaches know that. And we just got to wait and see if they're able to do it. Sometimes you can't fix it. Sometimes you got a problem and you do the best you can to kind of handicap it because, but it's like we have a problem. I can't imagine this is one of them. You can't find a solution to not throw a flag in those situations, then I don't know. I personally don't know how to help you if you can't figure that out because that was stupid. So I have hope that things like that will get worked out. And again, I think that a lot of that is situational. I think Matt LaFleur just saw it as, again, cost benefit. I really am not too worried about losing this timeout. But if we were to actually get that, called in our favor, it would be massive. But again, I think you got to recalibrate a little bit. because although the cost benefit is wildly in your favor, we're talking about odds that are so long that it's just going to make you look stupid. And I think we're to the point now where you got to just win one. You know what I mean? Like, do not do it unless you're pretty sure, it's higher than 50% that you're right and it's going to go in your direction. Don't sit here and try to play the odds too much, because that's not working in your favor right now. But yeah, I it's just about, we got to wait and see. Every week is different. And who knows? I mean, the team could start getting worse. We could start having injuries. You never know. I'm doing the best I can to kind of highlight where we are right now, which is fantastic news. But you never know, man. Week to week, everything changes. So we will just have to see how that goes. Let's say Bill is our last caller of the day.
Hey, Ryan, this is Bill in South Carolina.
What's up, man?
And just wanted to call and say, did we win or lose yesterday? Yesterday after the game, I had a show on, and the callers, most of them were calling like we had got beat by 20 points.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But anyway, great win for the Pack. Keep stacking the wins. Just get in the dance. And at the dance, what happens is going to happen. It's going to be a few plays here and there that make a difference in whether you advance or not. But we've been playing very well, not perfect. Never going to be playing perfect, just like you said. Also, I want to say that your breakdown before the game, that pod was great.
Thank you.
About the run and also the play action pass. You were on the money with all the stats backing it up, which you always do. And then your post game pod was great too, with breaking down because you give stats, you give facts, and so that's really good. But yeah, it's never going to be perfect. Matt is I think he's the best OC maybe in the world or country. But I don't know if he's the best, head coach, especially when the bullets are flying. But
sure,
we'll take it. We'll take what we got. I mean, there wouldn't be too many I'd trade out for him. But anyway, I just want to say, go Pack, go. We won. We're winning a bunch of games. We're pretty much in the playoffs, like you said, like 99%. It was a great victory. We've been stacking them up, and never going to be perfect. And when we get Jerry out back, it'll be great. And also, I don't understand the hate on Alexander. I'm sure he's not trying to get hurt. And I just want him back healthy for the playoffs. That's all. All right. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's about it. And like you said, I mean, yeah, maybe Matt LaFleur is more of an OC than a head coach. And again, listen, look at the Bears situation right now. They're looking for a head coach. The issue that you're going to have no matter what is, okay, so maybe Vrabel. It's like, well, all right, so Vrabel supposedly is a culture guy. Fine. But how is that going to help you with the offense and defense? Well, it's not. It's really not. And if you don't get a good offensive and defensive coordinator, then your team is going to be bad. And if your team is bad, then your culture is going to be bad no matter who your head coach is. So that's a problem. Okay, well, why don't we go get like the next LaFleur? Or, I mean, this is what Bears fans are actually saying. They're calling for like, we need our own LaFleur because they, unlike Packer fans, recognize that he's actually very freaking good. But yeah, we got to go get our own this, that, or the other. And, well, then what's the concern? Well, the concern is, the Packers this is what a lot of people had been saying about that issue. The Packers had sort of an established culture. So you don't need a culture guy. You can have a guy that is not going to build a culture and come in and succeed because that's just not a thing that you need. So but then you're not going to have that. And yeah, maybe Matt LaFleur doesn't have, and I think he's honestly getting a lot better at that. I always used to cringe listening to the post-game things from Matt LaFleur. I felt like he was getting like pity claps from people and stuff. It just felt really cringy, and I didn't like it very much. But it's definitely getting better. And I think the way he handles the media has gotten better. He was at first very timid and whatnot, and now he's not that. So I think he's really starting to garner respect. And listen, I mean, he has gone from a guy that was not very well respected. I mean, he's probably an intelligent offensive mind or whatever, but, a lot of guys were mocking him and saying all kinds of bad stuff about him. At this point, he's been a head coach for a long time, and he's one of the winningest head coaches in football in terms of win percentage. He is one of the best head coaches. I think he's got a phenomenal reputation, And I think he's got a little swag behind him. He's got some creds now. You know what I mean? He's got his bona fides. And so, I think a lot of even the culture issues, a lot of that stuff is stuff you have to learn. And I think he's learning it, and I think it's getting better. I think Gutekunst is a major part of that factor as well. Even if it's just a matter of like, this guy's got to go. Like, we will not tolerate that here. And I think it's a cultural thing that goes beyond Matt LaFleur. He is just a part of the culture. He's not necessarily the driver of the culture like what you have in Detroit or something. The culture was established a long time ago in Green Bay. From Ron Wolf. There's a way that we do business, and it's very similar to what I said about Matt LaFleur. He is a respected guy now. He commands respect, and rightly so. And I think the Packers are that way too. It's like we are not some fraudulent garbage organization like Detroit or Cleveland or Washington. I mean, some of these teams have turned around, obviously, but the ones that come to mind where it's just like, you guys suck. We are a team that has a rich legacy and culture, and we're going to act like it. We demand a high level of X, Y, and Z. If you're going to come into this building, it's not going to be like what you did over in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Yeah, they got a really nice facility and really nice locker room and all that flashy crap, but you know what they don't have? They don't have a culture there. And people talk about that when they come here. It's different. There's an expectation of winning here, which is shocking to hear football players say that as though that's an unusual thing, but it is. Some places are bad, and the players get there and they walk into a culture of players that recognize that they're not going anywhere and they're essentially there to pick up a paycheck. That's not how it is in Green Bay. And so, yeah, does Matt have his flaw? Of course. Think of it like when you play Madden, whether it's a player or a coach or a GM. You only have so many skill points. And some people have more skill points than others, but you're going to have to choose where you allocate those skill points. And I think that's true of everything. That's the main thing we've been talking about here today. Think about everything in terms of skill points. Think about the Packers season in terms of skill points. The problem that we have is that the Packers have as many or more skill points than any other team. And they're allocated in some of the most important spots. Always got to throw me off my rhythm. And again, I think a lot of people are just focused on the deficiencies. And yeah, the reality is there are deficiencies. There's going to be deficiencies. And I don't know, it sucks. But, the 2010 team had a lot of deficiencies. And the 1996 team didn't have as many. It felt pretty perfect, but there were deficiencies somewhere. It's how it goes, man. Chiefs have had deficiencies. The Patriots have had deficiencies in their runs. And if you don't believe that, just look at what people were saying when those Super Bowl teams started the season, right? I mean, the freaking Chiefs come out. They got one of their players sitting up in a booth last year because he was holding out on his contract. They had their other top player, I think it was Kelsey, was injured, so he wasn't even playing. Going up against the Lions, they end up losing to the Lions. It looked like a mess. Like they just couldn't get their stuff together. The Patriots, man, I thought they were done. Every freaking year, it's like, they're not playing well. They don't have any receivers anymore. They start figuring it out as the season goes on, and they start getting better and better and better. And yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, every year I'm looking at them like, yeah, but they're not going to beat Baltimore. They're not going to beat Buffalo. They're not going to beat the Bengals or whatever the case may be. There's always a team that, and sometimes it happens, but there's always a team that you look at and you go, they're not better than them, but they just find a way to do it. So keep getting better, keep going, and we'll just see how it goes, man. We'll see how she goes. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.